What up, y'all? It's your favorite Queen of Hearts, Lady L to the IPS. Yes. And I am with one of my old school friends. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. Go ahead, girl.
You know what, Vi? This is so funny because now that I'm introducing myself, I'm thinking about what do I want to be called? So I guess I'm just going to say I'm Melody, but I just want to be called Mel today.
Okay, Mel. Mel it is. I'm gonna mess up and call you Melody probably, but I get a
No,
pass because you're my homegirl.
right.
So we're here today talking about control. Melody and I have had many off-screen conversations. And she never fails to remind me that I have always been a control freak. From as far back as she remember, Vi, you always had control. Vi, you know why that is because you don't like to relinquish control. Vi, do you know how to not be in control? Like it's always about control. So I was like, you know what? What is it about my control that gives you the impression that I'm a control freak? So she's going to guide this conversation. I'm in the hot seat today, the hot seat. So she's kind of almost hosting this conversation, and I have to address whatever it is she asks of me as it relates to the control she says I have because I know why it's there. But help me
Mm,
pull it out. Help me tease that out.
hmm. So my first question would be, how do you define control?
Okay. Can we ask Webster?
However you
Can,
want to answer it. If it
I
answers
want to
it for
ask
you.
Webster because
Oh, let's
I feel
start
like,
with that. Yes.
yeah, yeah, let's start with a Webster one, right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Control definition. And then that way we're on the same page and the viewers are on the same page with us. Webster defines control as the power to influence or direct people's behavior or the course of events, to determine the behavior or supervise the running of. Would you agree with that?
To an extent, yes.
Okay. I see control as that, as somebody who has to, I don't like using the word in the definition, but control is somebody who has to have their hands on things in order for it to go the way they want it to go.
I concur. So I have a definition that I would like to share.
Okay.
Control often refers to the ways people attempt to manage outcomes, relationships, or environments to reduce uncertainty, to protect themselves, or ensure things unfold in line with their expectations. What are your thoughts on that?
Is that Melody's definition? Where'd you get that from?
From artificial intelligence.
I agree with AI.
Oh,
I wholeheartedly agree with AI. Yes, yes.
okay. So AI gonna dig deep. So one of the things that it says is there's healthy versus unhealthy control. So I just want to share that real quick. Healthy control looks like self-discipline, setting boundaries or managing responsibilities in balanced ways. Unhealthy control emerges when someone tries to dominate, manipulate, or restrict others to avoid fear, anxiety, or vulnerability.
Can I be both sides of that coin?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was my next question. Which one do you feel like you do the most if you see that you do any? Either.
I honestly see it as a balance. Because the on the positive side, I can't remember all that you said, but it was a mouthful. On the positive side, I have I have the ability to delegate and dictate what needs to take place in order to accomplish a goal, task, or what have you. Like I feel like I'm doing it from a place of organization, coordination, time management, things like that. On the other side, I realize that my control really kicks in because of lack of trust in others to do a specific task or goal. And that comes from experience, not perception, right? I've experienced when I've asked people to do things for me, they either didn't do them timely, they didn't do it correctly, or they just didn't do it, you know? And it was like, I got to the point I was like, F it, I might as well do it myself. And that made it harder and harder and harder for me to relinquish control because I'm a person of expectations.
Can you think back to the first time? I don't need like full context, but can you think of the first time that you fully relinquished control and what the outcome looked like for you? Or have you ever done that?
That's a better question. Fully, fully relinquished, like didn't have my hands in it at all,
Mm-hmm.
knowingly.
Yes, Vi, have you ever done that?
Nah, knowingly, I can't think of a time. A time is not coming to mind. But I will tell you, like that's why I don't like surprises because it's like, oh, you did pink decorations? Why wasn't there any black or no red in here? Like the pink is cute, but I would have did something different. Like, oh, you plan to take me to this restaurant? I don't like this one. The bread be stale sometimes and the butter be too hard. Like things like that. But then I could think of a time, like for instance, my birthday last year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my daughter and my sister planned two of the best birthday gatherings I've ever had. And I didn't know anything about either one of them, right? My daughter got people together that I normally wouldn't have engagement with. These was literally her people, and it surprised me with two of my longtime people. And when I say it turned my day into from ordinary into extraordinary, that baby girl, baby girl, you did the big one. That is today by far one of the best times I had in my life. And I had no hand in that. I didn't even know it was taking place. My baby was just like, meet me here at this time and we're gonna have a good time. You don't even need your wallet. Like it was that kind of an affair. And then for
Wait,
me to be home, well,
so when Nam threw that for you too, you didn't know anything?
I had no idea. I just knew I was coming to town. She knew I was coming to town. And not my sister. That was the second one. My sister did all the legwork. Shout out to you, Vayama. It is your big one. Coordinated with my other sisters, VA and Valana, and got my friends and family together down at Johnny. Shout out to Muffin. And we had a wonderful celebration. I mean, everybody I would have normally invited was there. Like there was nobody she missed. It even surprised me with people that I wouldn't even thought would have came out. Like you. You just been so low key and chill. I was like, you got melody? Like it was just so special. It was so special. I had no control in that in a year. Does that count?
Yes, and I love that for you. I
Thank you.
do. My next question is, did you learn early that being in control was the only way to avoid harm?
I learned early.
If you can
I
think
learned soon
back,
enough. Go
right.
ahead.
If you can think back to where your where your need for control stemmed from, is there anything you can correlate it with? Because sometimes when we're kids, a lot of our adult behavior is connected to our childhood experiences. So was there a time that you wish you could have controlled something and you didn't, and maybe that time could encourage why you want to control so much? Am I asking that right?
Yeah, you are. I know what you're asking me. It's just psychologically my brain doesn't allow me to go back that far, right? I
Okay.
think of a time like when me and my daughter's father, hey Dougie, we got into like a big altercation because there was a celebrity coming to town for a concert and I knew they was gonna be at the mall. And I was dying to go to the mall. Like I don't even remember being like a fanatic of anybody, but I wanted to see this particular, so see if I could get a glimpse of this particular celebrity. And he picked me up late. And when I say I was fuming, I was like, I could have caught the bus and been there on time. Like this was before I had a car, he had a car. And I was so pissed. It ended up being a bad situation because we got into it. I attacked him while he was driving. Like it was bad. It was bad. And I remember that like, see, that's what the F I get for depending on people. Why did I that ask? Like couldn't even come through for me. Like I'm the type of person I don't ask anybody for anything really. So if I
Mm-hmm.
ask, I need it. And if you can't come through for me when I ask that sits on me for a long time. So I try to position myself to not need.
You know what's funny, Vi?
Mm-mm.
I'm starting to wonder if it's really a control issue or just the need for structure and order.
which leads to
Because
somebody being controlled.
mm, in a way, I think I would have to dig a little deeper in what control issues are, because a lot of things that, from my experience with you, there's a lot of experiences that I've missed, but a lot of times when you're trying to control something, it's usually a protective measure, or um it lacks order and structure. And so, is that really, at what point do you feel like that turns into an issue? Or has anybody presented anything anything about that behavior that became an issue for them?
Yeah. Yeah. I think control, you having me touch on shit I don't want to touch on. Control may have ruined my marriage, my relationship, right? Because I
Hmm.
think in my quest to be able to moderate the
Just,
outcome,
just,
make sure things get handled the way I need them handled, and not letting somebody do it on their time and their way at their comfort, it
mm,
causes tension, it causes friction. And at a certain point, that can ruin the dynamic of a relationship because it's like, get off my back, let me be. And it's like, but this task could be completed in 10 minutes. Why stretch it out for 10 weeks? Like, and
yes,
it becomes, well, fuck it, I'll do it. And in the midst of do it, there's animosity now. There's resentment.
mm,
I'm
right,
vocal and I'm expressive. So it's not just
right.
animosity and resentment. It's not internal.
Mm.
I'm
It
fired
turns
up
into an
now.
attack. Yes.
Yes. And it could put somebody on the defense. And I think about that, and I know there's ways I've contributed to the destruction of my relationship, and I feel horrible about that. Um, but that's who I was, forgive me for what I didn't know before I learned it, and it took time to process that. And now it's like either I'm going to do it myself or it won't get done because I'm still not in a position to ask because already been disappointed so many times.
So, besides consistency, how do you determine who you can trust to take control? Or do you even have anybody that you would trust to take control in certain situations?
That's a really good question. So I always said, there's six things I don't play about, my six C's. That's my children, my car, my cock, my crib, my cash, and my character, right?
Ooh.
And I always said if I was blessed enough to own a Fortune 500 company and I had to hire certain people through observation, through consistency, there's three people I'm hiring off the rip. That's my daughter, shout out to Quarry, very responsible, very on point, financially savvy. Like she my CFO. She gonna handle things. My sister Vayama, one of the best work ethics I ever seen. She is showing up to work, right? She's gonna do the job. She's gonna stay late. She might come in early. Like I don't, it very rarely is gonna call in. I observed that from her. She's gonna take a phone call or two or three or four, but work is gonna get done. You know what I'm saying? And my
Yes.
friend Nicole, shout out to my friend Nicole. I seen this woman grind for the over 2 decades that I've known her. Always kept at least two jobs. Always been a hustle. Always been about her business. Like dedicated to the work. Constantly puts herself in positions to learn more and do more. Like those three, I'm gonna give you a task, and I know they're gonna. I trust that they're gonna complete it, and that's
Mm.
because I've observed them doing it. And two of them, my daughter and my sister, stepped up in a way that even surprised me. And I had no control of the situation. They was all in control and made it happen and pleased me to my surprise.
That's beautiful. Because what I'm getting is that relinquishing control may feel like a sense of vulnerability. And sometimes I feel like in our community, vulnerability is scary. It's a hard thing to be vulnerable. And so, what you're saying is, in order for someone, in order for you to trust someone enough to take control, it has to be someone that embodies the characteristics and who you feel safe with, not just in how they move with action and task, but how they move in character and integrity. Is am I right?
Oh yeah, because the character integrity, that's fair because I'm not even gonna do business with you if I feel like you don't even have those basic minimums. Because there's people who have integrity, right? They may not steal from you. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna lie to you. Their character speaks for themselves. They're a good person. They're not evil. They don't do, sketchy or underhanded stuff. But when it actually comes to productivity and workmanship and work ethic, nah, I'm good.
So
I'm good.
you know what's funny? If I go back to our childhood, you did not just control that. It's like, Vi. Wait. I know I bring this up a lot. Do you remember? Wait, did you get to go on our sixth grade field trip? I think it was probably to Boston Aquarium or something.
No, I got in trouble in school.
So it's funny. I don't know if you got in trouble for what we did with you, but remember you wrote notes for all of us to skip school to go to the doctors with
Right. No, I did not get in trouble for that. I got in
you.
trouble for, I don't know if you remember, one of the kids was selling lighters and we used to be able to manipulate them so it had 12 flame. I was one
Yes.
of the kids that came forward and was like, "Yeah, I had the lighter," and gave it up. And Miss Melisson went to bat for me. She was like, "No." And then my dumb ass was in the girls' bathroom, writing on the walls with a magic marker, and a hall monitor came in, and it was like, "Okay, this is two instances in like 2 weeks. We're sorry, you just can't go. Here's your money back, and we're gonna tear up the permission slip." So yeah, I didn't get to go.
Got you. Got you. It was funny because so far from what I've seen, well, no.
You
I've
can
never
only see
seen.
half of your face, right?
Really?
Like, oh, there we go. Literally, you was cut off from the nose and the
Oh,
lip.
okay. Well, I do
Okay.
have one question. This is kind of like going back a little bit. Were
Okay.
you raised in a household where approval only came when you performed just right? Meaning, well, you get what I'm saying?
No, go ahead and elaborate.
Like, okay, it says, was I raised in a household where approval came when I performed just right? Meaning that there was like a structure and a standard of how you were supposed to behave. And if you did not meet that standard, that came with consequences.
Oh yeah. How is AI diagnosing me and you're helping them? Is this a, I think
No,
of a
but
couple instances, right? I think of I have horrible handwriting. Horrible handwriting. Like it's almost as bad as Talia's, right? Like she as a
no.
lefty. No, not that bad. But it's not good. And I remember being a second or third grade, I had written homework assignments and I would, I always did my homework. That's one thing I ain't play about. And my mother has one of the best penmanships I ever seen. And she would look at my homework and she would beat me because I didn't write neat. Get your ass in
Mm,
there. You do like I would get a whooping for poor
mm.
penmanship. And I would have to go write it. And
Wow.
I don't think it was that much better. But she probably got tired of whooping me because in her mind, you could do better. You just being lazy. And it's like, no, I don't, my fucking handwriting ain't that neat. I'd rather type 8 books than to write a handwritten love note. Like I don't even like the look of my handwriting. I'll be like, ooh. But
Wow. You know
and
what's
then
funny?
Graham, huh?
No, you can go, but it's funny because you answered the next question without me asking it. But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna give another example. Like Graham, if something wasn't done, like told y'all to vacuum this floor and it wasn't done. Don't even think about going outside. Don't think and it was like, yes, poor performance was punished.
That's you answered it. So my next question was, do you control outcomes because well, I'm going to reword it. But what my next question was going to be was, do you control outcomes because at some point in your life mistakes were unacceptable? And you kind of just answered the fact that when you didn't do things correctly, which was a mistake, they came with consequences. So when you get older, it shapes the way you handle things. Hmm, that's hmm,
That's wow. Yeah, I probably should put this on my list of things to talk about with my therapist because I
mm,
don't think I ever correlated, right, what I
hmm
experienced in my childhood with how I show up today.
hmm.
And I realized that I minimize and or eliminate disappointment by not delegating in the first place.
And it's funny. Yeah, if I don't release this one, because this one it might be a little too deep. But the questions, there's like a banner, like to see where we're touching on. And so the next questions was do you feel the need to manage people's choices so they don't leave you? And not leave you just like physically ruin their relationship, but do you want to control their choices so it doesn't leave you with a situation that you don't want, which most of these questions are tied to fear of abandonment and rejection.
I know I struggle with abandonment. I know I struggle with abandonment. Like, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the what reason. Oh, yeah, man. And my kids, and they say if you want to know you a good parent, don't look in the mirror, ask your children. And recently I had a conversation with my three children who are 16, 20, and 28. And they got on me. Like if I didn't do the work of inner healing and processing how to receive information critically, um, I would have been somewhere in tears. I would have been somewhere in tears because they was like, no, no, you could have did this better. You reacted that way. That was too much. Like, and I feel like yes, I do. I do. I've been told that I'm manipulative in order to construct a response that's in my favor.
I I don't see that in how you deal with me, but I can see how you deal with that in people and unsolicited um sidebar. I know where it came from. Um it's a mommy trait because yeah, I don't want you to release this. Growing up.
I'm releasing it, so you either say it or you don't say it, but it's
Oh,
getting
okay. Because
released.
I don't buy. All right. Because I feel like some of this is uncharted territory that is kind of sensitive, but it's not my
Sentimentally
story.
speaking, that's why we're here.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry because I love who I'm about to talk about, so I don't want to say the wrong thing or say it the wrong way. But um, Terry, Terry was very manipulative, and she knew how to show up and show love and control certain things so it worked out in her best interest, and she still did that outside of the house. But when I'm reading this fear of abandonment, it says, did you experience times when love, care, or presence felt inconsistent in your childhood? And so AI is saying that that's linked to abandonment and rejection, and I'm not sure that all of it just came from your mom, but it's tied to it. Am I explaining
Yeah,
this
so
correctly?
here's the study. My therapist pointed me to the study, and I might need to circle back about that because my mind, I might forget. And it's where you put a baby in a room and
Mm-hmm.
you have the parent come in and they interact with the baby, and the baby's responding, grabbing for the parent, laughing, smiling, right? Cut scene, the parent is outside of the room. They come back into the room and they're told, don't engage with the baby. You're just like this. And the baby who's smiling when they first see you because they're happy and excited. This is my safe space. This is my person, my happy place. And then they sense that, right? They start to process, why isn't mommy smiling at me? Why aren't they engaging at me? Like, why are they just engaging with me? Why are they just flat? And then their nervous system gets activated. And then they start to feel that disconnect. They start to, you literally see them start to process. They get fidgety, they get anxious, they start crying. And it's almost like begging, like, come back, come here. Where's that person I
Mhm.
needed? Right. And it's a sense of detachment.
Mhm.
So I think for sure, right? And that's why, I'm so grateful for my grandparents, because if I didn't have them, I don't know where I'll be. Like, my parents were addicted to drugs when I was a child. So they weren't showing up for themselves, let alone showing up for me. And as a child, you talk about chest time, you talk about skin to skin. I don't know if I had that. I
Mhm.
don't even know if that existed back then as a proven theory for bonding with your child upon birth, right? Um, so let
Mhm.
alone that, but now you're talking about childhood memory. You're talking about bonding, being kind.
Mhm.
The images
Mhm.
and memories I have of my mom is not, showing up for special things and clapping for me and supporting me. It was to discipline me when I didn't do things right. If I got in
Mhm.
trouble in school, she was there. Okay, so now I'm gonna get in trouble when I get home. My homework wasn't right. Okay, now I'm gonna get in trouble when I get home. But where were you when I was at the Arbor Hill Drill and Dance Team? When I was doing double dutch? When I was in talent shows, singing my little heart out? When I was choreographing um different dances for a little dance group we created? Like those type of things. And my father, I have pleasant memories of him, probably more than I have with my mom, but they were few and far between. They were
Mhm.
few and far between. And I know there's something that I long. Um, God, that makes me emotional. I know there's things that I long for that I didn't get from my parents. And I know it impacts how I show up with my kids and what I require from the men in my life.
You know what's crazy? And I think birth order, even though people talk about the middle child, right? It's always saying that the middle child um gets less attention and all of these things about the middle child. One thing, and this is not something I got statistics on, but I've been writing about it and trying to figure it out. I feel like when a parent is on healed and kind of young when they have their first kid of the same gender, that child gets parented from like all their deficits, or like we're like the practice dummy, the practice kid, and they're still growing up, and we don't get to have a parent, especially if a parent is not even sure who they are yet. And I think that being the first child of an unhealed parent, an unmarried parent, a parent that has not addressed their childhood trauma, it shows up in how we parent. And w- I don't know per se, like statistically, but I feel like they try so hard to stop us from making the mistakes that they made and attack us. And um mm, this is emotional for me a little bit, only because I'm the first child of an unhealed parent, an unaware parent, and depending on what generation they were raised in, love wasn't a part of it. And our generation loves love. Like, they just discipline and they think tough love is okay. And really it be breaking
Yeah.
people.
So funny.
Mm.
Yeah, they discipline. Um, and my grandmother very rarely got I love you. My grandfather was the emotional one, the emotionally expressive one. Oh, come here, baby, give me a hug. Graham was not that person until she got older, till later in life. Like, I probably was well into my 30s when my grandmother would initiate, I love you. Otherwise, it was just a response. You know what I'm saying? It was like love came later. The bills got to be paid. The house got to be clean. There needs to be structure and routine. Like, of course, I love you. Can't you see it in my actions? Where this generation, I get to feel it. I'm a
I want
feeler.
you to walk it like you talk it. Show me and tell me too.
Yes, but we didn't, like you said, we didn't get that. Gosh, Melody, I know we only got a couple more minutes here, but like this was wow. I didn't expect our simple conversation of control to lead me back to a place of origin that I knew had damaging and lasting effects on the Viola I am today. But it makes me wish I could do certain things all over again because I think I would I would be able to salvage some of the dynamics that I fractured because of who I am based on how I grew up. And I just hope that, you know, forgiveness and time and continue to do the work internally will allow me to mend relationships and also build healthy ones with with a better foundation than the previous ones were built on.
Mm.
So to anybody I've hurt in the past because I was unhealed and hurt and still learning as I grow, I'm deeply sorry. I am deeply and truly sorry. But I know with that too comes a level of realness and authenticity that I can't and shouldn't apologize for because those things don't always mesh. And maybe that's another topic for another day. But do you have any other questions for me or comments or statements before we go?
Well,
Go take my eyelashes off now.
I well, of course I have more questions, but I'll save them for a side conversation. Um, what I will say is people get hurt when we try to find our when we're finding ourselves. And I know it's like so cliche, but only the strong survive because we're imperfect. And if people gave a little more grace, a little more understanding, the fracture can heal. Like, so if something can't heal when you're accountable, you're apologetic, and also the change behavior, it wasn't meant. And sometimes God allows us to be imperfect so that we learn, so that when another situation arises that is properly aligned with where we're going or the calling on our life, we know how to handle it. So I think relationships that cannot be repaired were tests. You know how we get the quizzes before the main test? I feel like they were quizzes along your quest, and you'll be prepared when everybody who's supposed to be at the table arrives.
Mm, I like
So
that.
that's
Thank you.
that's all I'm gonna say. Cause this, even though the conversation was organic and it just flowed naturally, it invoked feelings that I didn't even realize I would experience by asking you questions.
Mm, yeah. There was a lot to be had from this conversation, and I appreciate you broaching the topic with me on many occasions. And only not only that, accepting my invitation to host the conversation on this platform because I do pride myself on being real and honest and raw. And yes, most of my videos show us laughing and having conversations where there's disagreements, but very few times do I tap into that space that tug on my heartstrings and evoke response that I don't really like to put out there. I It's behind the mask. And today this conversation allowed tears to fall from under it. So thank you,
All
Melody.
right,
I
one more
appreciate you.
thing, one more thing.
Okay.
Growth comes with embracing vulnerability. So, not just for you, for anybody who may watch this, vulnerability is scary, but that's where the growth comes from. So, take off the mask, let your hair down, and let people love who you truly are. That's it.
Mhm. Thank you for that. And I hope you guys got the final word. I'm taking off my mask. I hope y'all love me for who I am because I love those who I love for who you are. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world today, but y'all was here with me and Mel, and we appreciate your time as always. Peace.
Toodles.